All right, guys. So this past couple weeks back, I heard that a friend of mine was playing soccer and he violently tore his Achilles. Horrible injury. It's going to keep him out for up to a year as he goes through the rehab process as he recovers from his surgery. And it kind of got me thinking about activity, sport, and injury, and kind of what are some of the causes, right? I think all of us know people that are not active at all that still end up with injury. But so there's obviously it would appear that there's a genetic predisposition to being injured. However, you also look at it and say, in my friend's case, was it simply the soccer that caused him to snap his Achilles? And while we'll never really be able to tell, in a case-by-case basis, I did start doing some research, looked around, and came across a couple of interesting studies that actually showed, and one in particular that I'll reference here, showed that there is a genetic predisposition to having a frozen shoulder as well as tennis elbow. So it's interesting because it shows that these conditions, there are certain people that are more inclined to have certain types of injuries versus other people. So there is a genetic component to it. Now at the same time, let's say you're more inclined to get tennis elbow. If you play more tennis than someone else who's also genetically inclined to get tennis elbow, you're more likely to have those issues. So there still is an activity component to whether or not you actually have these issues that you're more genetically inclined to have these issues with. And now, so as I'm kind of throwing a lot of information out there, kind of figuring out, trying how to process this. All right, I'm kind of giving you guys the scientific side of it. Now I want to kind of use an example from myself. And I'm really glad this happened to me because again, now I have an example that I can use and I can share with other people. So a few years back, all right, this was kind of first when I was really getting into strength training, all right, using weights, and as I was training, all right, as I was doing some of my lifting, I started kind of developing an issue in my knee, and it wasn't like it was a very sudden onset. It was just this sharp shooting pain that I had in my knee, and it was really tricky to deal with. I wasn't sure what it was. Did a lot of research, actually got some imaging done, and it turns out that I had what's called a plica remnant in the knee, which is something a high percentage of the or not a high percentage, excuse me, a low percentage of the population does have. It's somewhat common, all right, but it can become an even smaller percentage. It can become an irritant for people. So something that's there that was in my knee, all right, but only after I was doing strength training did it actually get inflamed. So I had a genetic predisposition for this issue. However, if I'd never lifted weights, it never would have become an issue. So does that mean that I shouldn't have done strength training? Shouldn't have done heavy squats, shouldn't do lunges, that type of thing? No, because I'm stronger now. I feel better now than I ever have before. What I have to do though is be aware of this issue, and I am. And so what I do is I ensure that I'm always stretching. I stay consistent on using my foam roller, rolling out the legs, and every now and again it'll still become an issue if I'm working out hard in the gym. Then I go up on the hill and do a long day of skiing. Like I can feel it'll get a little inflamed, a little irritated, but it's never as bad as the first time it became an issue. Now, if it does become overly inflamed and I can't knock it down with stretching and foam rolling, I have to take some time off, and that's part of knowing. When you have these predispositions, knowing when you kind of have to back off a little bit and come back at it strong again. And if I have to take 3, 4, 5 days off to kind of let that inflammation, let my body kind of heal itself, it's just part of training and getting better. But again, you have to know yourself, know your body, all right, and kind of and maintain that awareness of how you treat your certain issues. So that's how I've dealt with kind of my issue that I'm more inclined to have problems with. So hopefully, you know, if you are one of those people that has had, you know, tennis elbow in the past, maybe you've had ankle sprains in the past, you know, be aware of those things and then take a proactive approach to dealing with them. So, all right, guys, hope you got something out of this tip. Have a good day.